Howdy, welcome back to Bored with Bourbon. So what exactly are we bored with? Bourbon is, I'm just going to give the cliff notes here. Bourbon is mostly corn, like 51% corn. You can have wheat, you can have rye, you can have barley, you can have a bunch of stuff in there. And it's like one of the big things about bourbon is it's aged in charred virgin oak or new oak barrels that have never been used. And then you can get down into, you're going to find my love of Jim Beam right here. You can get down to some weird stuff, like, for instance here, it says Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Well, what the hell is straight whiskey? Like, most people have a misconception that bourbon can only be made in Kentucky. There's literally no regulations that states that. Straight whiskey, however, is a regulation on whiskey, and basically what it states is that bourbon has to be aged for, like, straight bourbon whiskey has to be aged 2 to 4 years. If it's aged less than 4, yes, less than 4, it has to have an age statement on it. It has to be in charred oak, not a big deal in that. Where these originated, and I'll get more into it with this, is it was kind of quality control back in the day. If you look at the history of gin, pretty much the history of any liquor, people made some garbage stuff. Like, that's where you get like bathtub gin and people going blind or dying from drinking bad stuff. There was absolutely no quality control over this stuff, and it was shit. And the first thing that ever came about was one of my absolute favorites. I'm a bottled and bond whore. One of the first things, like the first regulations on bourbon that ever came out was bottled and bond, and it came out in the I can't remember off the top of my head, Bottled and Bond Act. It was like 1839 or something. And you guys might recognize this as Colonel E.H. Taylor created the Bottled and Bond Act. He lobbied for it. That's why E.H. Taylor is all bottled and bond, and that's why it carries his name. Bottled and Bond is my favorite. I love bonded whiskeys. And basically what a bonded whiskey is a whiskey that stayed, it's aged a minimum of 4 years in a bonded warehouse, which used to be, probably not anymore, but used to be under U.S. government supervision. One distiller, one growing season, I could get more specific, or one distillation season, there's usually 2 per year. One distillery, one distiller, one growing season, 4 years, and comes out at 100 proof. In a bonded warehouse, and that's what bottled and bond is. And so, I mean, like, back in the day, people were making this shit in the mountains, and there was no quality control, and so what the Bottled and Bond Act was a way to kind of standardize what bourbon could become. They were pretty rare when I first got in the industry, and they're starting to make a comeback. Wild Turkey just released one. I really wish I'd gotten it. They released it back in the 90s, and I guess still had the juice lying around. They're my absolute favorite. If I see a Bottled and Bond, I pretty much buy it all the time. Any of y'all who sell Godless glass of bonded, I wish I could do that at a bar, but I can't. And then the other guy is cask strength, barrel proof. So what this is all whiskeys come out. This one's called batch proof. I have another one lying around somewhere. Oh, my Weller. That's the best one. What barrel proof, batch proof, cask strength, I call them caskers. What caskers are is all whiskey is diluted. Like, whiskey comes out of the barrel anywhere. I mean, there's a range. This guy is 123. That one's probably around 117, 115, 125. Comes out of the barrel at a really high proof. And so what they do to get it down to 80 or 100 is they dilute it with water. And what a cask strength guy is undiluted. And so, especially, I got a video on this already. Like, Woodford, comparing it to the regular, it's just Woodford on steroids. Some of them you can get into, like, crazy different, like, varieties of it. And what I love about cask strength guys is you can get, like, this, like, it literally tastes like you're, like, licking powdered cinnamon. And then you can get it to, like, really nuanced down to, like, what the standard line is. I love Caskers. They're a lot of fun. They make great old fashions, and in my opinion, which is wrong because I'm a Texan in New York, is they're just the best. They're fantastic. They make badass cocktails, and they get you messed up. See, I stopped myself, Mom. You should be proud of me. Cheers, folks.